Jay, I was told by Colleen to remind you to record.
It's on.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order. I got 7:04. We'll do roll call. Larry Fish here. Go ahead, Brian.
Brian Smith here.
Patty,
Trisha Gardner.
Susan,
Susan Marcus.
Tom,
Tom Rutliff.
and Jay.
Jay Newsom.
All right, and Jay Parker is staff. Did everybody see the last minute email of the minutes from last meeting?
No.
It was sent out around 6:10.
No.
I did see them.
Yeah,
All right, if you could go and look, it was this afternoon from Rob Zaneski. It's listed. It's really short, like he usually is. Take a second to read it, because I was there for the first half hour, and then I missed the last 45 minutes. I didn't have a problem with what I saw, but again, I wasn't there for the whole thing.
it was pretty detailed.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
not
these are-
particularly short.
This is much more detailed than he usually does.
Yeah, I think that's because he was talking a lot. Jay, just a point of order. Do I get to vote on these minutes because I was only there for half the meeting?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you. It's kind of interesting because I get to look at all you guys reading it right on the screen in front, so it looks like you're all staring at me.
Well, I have a comment on summer employment. Didn't we ask that Rob send a note to the town council and that they vote on our $250,000 proposal?
That was the meeting before.
Oh, that was the meeting before. Oh, so this is,
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
In this one, they said that they didn't have, they polled all the department heads and they couldn't pull it together, and they went to the nonprofits in town, and they were scaling back because of COVID. So it just didn't, it was a great idea, but not enough time and
Yeah, not enough time, I think, because
COVID.
I tell you, the weeds are happy.
All right, has everybody had enough time? Let's get a motion on the table to approve the minutes.
I move the
I move to
minutes to be approved.
All right, Jay moves it. Who was second? Tom?
I second it.
Okay. Now we can have discussion. You want to pick up any punctuation or grammar?
no, I didn't read it carefully enough. It's
Okay.
fine.
I think it's fine anyway, Susan.
Yeah.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. So the housekeeping is in order. I don't have the agenda. I'm not technical enough to have the agenda on my screen. So what's the next thing on the agenda? Oh, look at you.
Report on local, COVID-19 related business reopening plans.
Right. Well, Rob's not here, but I haven't heard anything of problems. Jay, has the town had any problems with any more restaurants or bars or anything like that?
Not that I know of, but I haven't been specifically briefed on that.
Yeah.
Nothing was said by Rob the last couple of times I've talked to him.
Has anybody been denied outside dining or anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, just like in the minutes, Rob said that the flats had one complaint and that was addressed. That's the only thing I know about that.
Larry,
Yep.
would you introduce Jay to us? I don't
Oh.
know.
Oh,
Sorry, guys.
Well, you missed that, Jay. Well, when you were calling in, I had just done it. This is
Oh.
Jay Parker. He's what, senior planner?
I'm the principal planner and acting interim, almost director planner.
Right. And Rob couldn't be with us tonight because the planning board is meeting and interviewing people for the head planner, director of planning position. So that's why we have Jay.
I was like sixth on the list, but they wanted to do it, so
Yeah, the janitor was busy. Yeah, so Jay came in.
no, it's we're short staffed in the office a bit, so with the interviews going on,
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot of people to pick up the extra slack or weight.
Not at all. And you've got another person in planning now, right? But I haven't even met him or her.
Yeah, so Kayla left. It's me and Brian Wagner.
Brian,
Brian
I saw him at a planning board meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Wagner and Carol. Carol's been out sick for a few weeks, so
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, it's been busy.
Right. And you're still doing Zoom meetings and things are still going on.
We're still moving everything forward. We're not. Luckily, we haven't slowed down. We haven't slowed down our productivity at all. It's just mentally, it's a little straining. And my wife is, surprised that I walked in tonight. I was like, I have a meeting, and her face dropped. She's like, another one again? I'm like, yep.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of
make it
low key
brief.
though, Jay. You don't have,
yeah, we can be short tonight.
yeah, it's not that bad.
Well, my kids are all out riding their bikes, so the house is pretty quiet right now. So I got time.
I don't know. It looks like to me that you're in town hall.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Technology, right?
it's scary. I can't do that. All right. Anybody else have anything on the first item? Throw it up again, Jay. Please.
I move we approve.
We don't have to move
we don't
move
have
on
to.
that.
Prove on anything.
Yeah. All right. So the next thing is what Susan and Henry. Oh no.
No,
Okay. Report of local business activity. Let's move that down to after SMART. And let's take up the SMART committee. Henry's not here.
Henry's not here. I was gonna say, Henry's not here. I mean, I can do it, but Why
don't you let me talk about the local business activity? Henry's supposed
Please.
to be joining us
Okay,
according to his
great.
email, and
great.
because I know that he brought that up to me, and then I saw your email with him to the town manager and everything else. So let's try to wait for him if he gets on.
Yeah, I'd prefer that.
All right. So the local business activity, it's bleak. All right. And the town has done everything they can do. I'll give my pier cleaners as an example. Most people are not in offices. Most people are just going out to a restaurant, maybe, but really not fancy. And they're trying to keep it low key and protective. I get it because I'm doing the same thing. So nobody's wearing nice clothes to go out to dinner or to go to a wake or a wedding or anything like that. No one's going into the offices for the most part. So how much dry cleaning do you think there could be? So on the dry cleaning side of my house, I was 20% ahead of last year, the first week of March. After they closed the state, I was 20% of last year. in sales. So the PPP kept me going. And now I'm doing, last week I did 71% of last year, which is basically half of what I was doing. That's just the dry cleaning side of the house. Now on the laundry side of the house, because everybody's home and economic conditions, we're doing a lot of wash, dry, fold, and a lot of people are coming into the laundry, the laundromat, because apartment buildings or that kind of thing, they can't have their laundry rooms shared, just like you can't have shared bathrooms for the most part. So the walk-in business into the laundromat has gone up. So one side is up a little bit, but the other side is dismal. And on the I'm the head of the Northeast dry cleaners for New York and all of New England. And as such, I'm on national calls every week. And there's a company that records people's sales. And as a nation, under 50% of last year. So they're expecting 20 to 30% of the dry cleaners to disappear. And there already have been dry cleaners that have disappeared. And that's going to be even worse, I think, in restaurants, bars, and in terms of coming out of this, right now, nobody wants to come back that I laid off, or I've done partial unemployment, where they call it work share in Rhode Island, and I've asked people to come back, and all they have to do is say, I'm afraid of COVID. They don't have to come back because they're getting, even if you used to work 35 hours a week and now you're working 16 hours a week and you're getting work share for the difference, that qualifies you for the extra $600 a week.
That's done with, isn't it?
Yeah, it's over now.
It ended last week,
Yeah.
but that's one of the sticking points with them in Congress right now. And I wouldn't put it past them to retroactive that. But because of the, people are staying home and making more money than when they were working.
Yeah.
And so it's been, for all the businesses that I know, they can't get people to come back. And I don't blame them. I don't blame my employees. I mean, if you come to work and you make, I don't know, $700, $800, they're making $1,000 a week and they're not working at all. So that's a big issue for employers.
Larry, I'd also like to suggest that there might be some other reasons why people aren't coming back to work. One is that there's no childcare. So if you have children, there might not be anything. You might want to go back. I think most people want to go back to work, would be my bet. That for $100 difference one way or the other, I bet most people would want to go back to work. But I think there are a lot of other considerations, like whether they feel safe at work, how they're going to get there, what's happening with their kids or other people in their families. So
School
is
a big thing, Susan.
Might not just be the stipend they're getting.
Yeah. Well, I just know what they're doing now. I mean, it's all up in the air right now. So everything is just on hold and everybody's waiting for them to do their thing in Washington.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they don't come up with something a lot better than the $200 the Republicans are talking about, the economy will really be in bad shape. And I don't even think you'll have people coming into your laundromat anymore, because there's no way people are going to make ends meet. So.
I know. I mean, it's I'm not going to debate anything because it's immaterial. It's whatever they come up with out of Washington. But I'm just explaining as a small business guy what's happening out there.
Where would you
And-
be without the Navy work from Groton?
That started up 2 weeks ago, and that's why I'm from 50% of last year to 70% of last year was the Navy coming back. You know, and I talked to a dry cleaner in Georgia yesterday, and she's right outside of Fort Benning. And they had an emergency purchase order to clean COVID clothes for service members that are down there in training that have COVID. And they've had to create COVID barracks and units and isolate them. And now they're looking to have their laundry done. And she was asking me, yeah, because she knew I did the Navy up here, how I was handling it and that kind of thing. And there are protocols from our national association on how to do it, and the CDC. So it's not that unclosed just for everybody's benefit. If you suspect something has got COVID on it, or you want to treat it as COVID, you keep it in a bag for at least 24 hours. Then when you handle the garment, you handle it with gloves and PPE, you know, in our case, masks and gloves. Put it in the washer machine with a special detergent that kills the virus, and then you can process it the rest of the way. If it's going to be washed and then immediately dried, then the drying kills the virus. If it's something dry cleaning, it goes into the dry cleaning machine, and then it's clean after that and free of the virus. So it's not that difficult. It doesn't survive. Originally at day one of the pandemic, it was they were saying 3 days. Now they're saying less than 24 hours. That now that they've had some experience with the virus. So that's at the Wakefield Mall. Island Outfitters is open in the old Payless spot. GNC has gone out nationally, so we have that opening. I'm taking over the old FYE space and putting a small drop store there. But mainly I'm using it for storage of clean clothes, so that if I get busy, I'll have the room to store the clean clothes for my pickup and delivery service.
I see
Ru-
Green Line Pharmacy is moving into the old South County
Right.
motor and doing a whole lot of renovation.
Yeah, they're not even going to open till 2021. But
Are they going to have sufficient parking in that place?
They're taking out parking.
They're actually going to add a few, I can't remember how many, 4 or 5 parking spots in the rear, I think, that are going to be covered for curbside pickup. And I believe, after talking about it with Wayne, the zoning official, I don't believe that they have any issues regarding zoning with it. I think they have enough parking, and originally they wanted a drive-through. And it was a drive-through setup, but they were calling it curbside. We had to work with him to say, you can't have a drive-through, but if you had a parking space and you had curbside, that's fine. And that's what he is going to end up doing, I think.
And Christina and her husband do have ideas for the existing location, but she's not prepared to go talk about it at this time, because it's just ideas, unless they've submitted something to the town. Okay.
Not that I know of.
No, but they've got plans for that spot, so it's not like there's going to be another empty space. It's a small business growing and going to have something else too.
Chase is moving into the old Wakefield Pharmacy,
Yep. They're getting pretty close.
another bank.
Yeah. That's because of our demographics, Susan. You
Well,
know?
I haven't been to a bank since February.
I've been going through drive-throughs. That's the only time I go out.
Oh, I can't bank here, so I don't even go to a bank.
Yeah.
You must have a big mattress, Susan.
Yes, my mattress is very full. $1
Uh,
bills.
No, I have a lot of cash deposits from the stores, so
Oh, right, yeah.
I have to go every day, and I have, today I had one deposit was $3 from one register, but my wife likes to keep it all separate, so I have to go every day. Brood Awakenings, did they get final approval, Jay, or are they still going through the process?
No, I believe they do. They changed their plan and put the drive-through wrapping around the building, coming back out the front. And I think it was largely supported by the neighborhood and everyone at last month's zoning board meeting, I believe.
Yeah, I knew it was more well received than the first one. I didn't know whether the planning board had voted on it.
I have to commend him when he listened to the neighbors,
Yeah.
back to the engineer, and they redesigned the plan. And he immediately turned it around and put the plan out on Facebook and let it be known that, hey, we heard you, we're doing this, we're trying to resolve any of the issues before it even made it to the meeting. I think before Wayne even had the plan in his hand. And I happen to see it. And after you read the response and you read the approach that he took, it's such a good approach for him to take it. And that, I mean, it
I agree.
really showed that he was listening.
I used to plow that lot, and behind the building where they're gonna go, and then they're gonna take a left around the back, unless they're taking some of that building apart to make it more. I took off 2 side mirrors while plowing. That's how tight it was.
I believe it.
This is
And
the old Feet First.
so that's the only thing I could say about that. I hope they're not using the exact footprint, or they're taking some of the embankment and back, or side next to.
We're gonna go back to hand shoveling.
Oof.
Is this the old?
Not me, Susan. Those days are over.
Is this the old Feet First?
Yes.
Yes,
building?
yes. I think the DOT's done a decent job on Old Tower Hill Road in terms of impacting businesses. I think that it's getting there. Minimal interruptions. Of course, with COVID, there's less activity, but they're ahead of schedule, I believe.
Planet Fitness.
Oh, yeah, Planet Fitness, are they?
They are still committed to it. They're the ones. The owner of the mall has turned over the space to their construction group. They're the ones that built the new facade up there that looks like a Planet Fitness, and they're working on it. Last time I heard, it was October opening, but because they've experienced a lot of nationwide, a lot of people ceasing memberships, they're looking to come up with a new strategic plan in operations nationwide, and but they're still going to open it up there. It's just going to be a little more delayed. I don't know how much more, whether it's November or December or something like that. But
It looks
it's one of
like
the reasons
DOT
why I took the spot at FYE, because I think it would be a nice marriage of right near the entrance of Planet Fitness. People could drop off their clothes and pick them up and coming to and from the gym. We'll see.
It looks like they're putting in lighting. I thought they were only going to put in conduits for future lighting on the DOT project.
That's the way I understood it too. And I didn't see them add any new conduits prior to paving or doing the walkways.
It looked like there was new lighting. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything. I think what they're gonna do is, right when you come off, the lights are not on telephone poles. They're their own pole, I believe. And that lends itself easily to use the existing conduits and everything else to change it to period lighting or whatever. And I think that that's how they get around that little thing that we asked for. That's my own opinion. Further down the road, on the CVS side, everything's mounted on telephone poles.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it's more highway lighting going down from one. Anybody else know of anything else going on?
Larry, it's Henry. I have
Hey.
a question.
Hold on, Henry. When did you join? I want the minutes to show that.
Okay, about 5
10
minutes ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so Henry's on at 7:25.
Yeah. The question I have is, I've had a very rough 2 or 3 weeks, and I haven't been able to figure out what happened with the planning board on the Mount St. Joseph property up on Tower Hill Road.
We haven't talked about that yet. That's the next thing. I was waiting for everybody else to come up with anything else, but we can go to that now. Jay, you're a great one to talk about that.
So they opened the hearing on the 28th last week, and to summarize it, it got continued. More information. They also asked that the Conservation Commission and the Historic District Commission take a look at it. So it's continued to the August 25th meeting.
Does
Are
that
they?
mean
Go ahead,
the
Susan.
town council won't take it up on the 11th?
I believe so. I believe right now the plan is that it most likely will be opened and immediately continued, because they're not going to have the advisory from the planning board in time.
Right, okay.
They're experiencing opposition to it, Jay?
Yeah, there was quite a number of people that voiced concerns over it. And it's kind of interesting because I'd say the majority of the correspondence that we got, either verbally or written, was in favor of it, but concerned, mostly with septic, concerned with potential uses, expanded uses from the SMD that they aren't planning on utilizing, but in the event that they don't and the zone change goes through, it might open the door for other uses to go in there that they may not want to see. One potential, I had suggested during the meeting that any approval or consideration could be conditioned on the uses that they are specifically requesting, because in their cover letter, they outline the specific uses that they would be looking for. So that would solve that problem and limit it only to what they're asking.
Right.
I don't know what direction that's going to go, but it seems like it's doable. It's just which direction they potentially would take it up.
I think people just didn't really know too much about it. And they were worried that it was going to be, cut down all the trees and pave it.
Do they have abutters?
Not many. And they've got the government center on one side.
Prout School.
Chafee Refuge behind it.
They have Prout in front of them. Prout attended the meeting and spoke highly in favor of it. They've actually got agreements, I believe, or the agreements are coming to utilize any entrance that they really want. I think the plan is to have the traffic exit and actually go into by the court building and go out to the light there, which I think is smart for traffic purposes when people are leaving. Obviously, you have traffic that's going north or south. If they pull out further up above the light, they can't go south. They'll have to turn around.
That's right.
So I think that's
But they don't have any residential abutters. It's all government and schools.
No, they
It's-
do to the north.
Yeah,
it's
to the north they do.
It's zoned residential currently, the entire side of that street, with the exception of the government center, which is GI zoned, government institutional.
So
But-
And Prout.
but the abutters were objecting.
Yeah.
No, well,
No.
no, I think it was more community objections. There were some abutters objecting. There was also a lot of concern about the fact that it's right next to it's in the watershed for the
Narrow River Preservation.
Narrow River, and that's part of why the SMD designation is not viewed positively, because if the uses that were allowed in the SMD were ever to be allowed there, that would be really disastrous for the watershed and for the Narrow River. So they have to come up with some restrictions if they're going to try to use that SMD designation, which I think is a mistake anyway, but that's just my view. I mean, they should just do a restricted something else. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that was their idea or the town's idea for the easiest way to get what they wanted rezoned, or the quickest way, or whatever. I don't know whether it was their way or not, because I know there was some talk about how to do it. And I think somebody decided, well, let's just extend the SMD, and that's the quickest, easiest. I don't think the applicant is dead set on that. I think he'd do what Jay suggests. They want certain use codes, and I don't think the community will object to those, because they want it to be serene. They want it to be an exclusive kind of place. And I think the town has been asking for 25 or 30 years for a venue that could have weddings up to 250 people, 300 people.
Yeah.
And if they want to couple it with creating a vineyard out there, I can't think of a more tranquil and a nice place. And if you're going to have a vineyard and you're going to be kind of like an exclusive kind of place, then you've got to protect the environment. You have to, it's in your best interest, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And the players are not local, is my understanding.
Well, no, he's married to somebody who is a Rhode Islander. The guy who spoke at the planning board meeting. He's he seems like the kind of developer the town wants. It's just that there's some problems around that site, in that it's in the watershed, it feeds into the Narrow River. The SMD is not a good idea for the expanded uses.
Right.
I think they can deal with the traffic, as Jay said, the
Yep.
government center, they can go out to the traffic light, that'll be fine. There were some North Kingstown people who thought it would be noisy if they had weddings, but I don't think the kind of weddings he's talking about are the kind that are going to be.
North Kingstown is nowhere near there.
Narragansett.
Narragansett.
I mean, Narragansett. Well,
Right.
no, Saunderstown. Isn't
Then it's
Saunderstown?
not even close to
It's Narragansett.
That's Narragansett. Oh, sorry, Narragansett.
Yeah. But Jay, I think you're right on with that solution to that. And I don't think they'd object to that.
No, I don't think they would either.
Yeah, they confirmed that they were fine with that. I mean, it's what they requested. It's really what they wrote in their cover letter.
Right. I think designating it part of the SMD was like the easiest way to allow those uses.
I wasn't privy to any conversations that they had prior to coming in for pre-app. But
Right.
logically, when you look at it, your first choice would be to extend the SMD, because the only other options to do that are commercial downtown, which it's not, commercial highway, which it probably wouldn't fly, and then like multifamily residential and one other one. But
Commercial neighborhood.
yeah, but even those options
Yeah.
didn't provide the entire slate of uses that they were
Right.
looking.
No, that's right. That's
So
right.
so if it was not SMD, it would truly be a spot zone.
Yeah, it's a spot zone. That's the problem, is the spot zone, and the town doesn't want to do any spot zoning. But I think the town ought to get over that, because this is just a special case.
Susan, what they could do is create another SMD. They've got 2 up there already. So they just make an SMD number 3, up there
I don't
with
know. I
just
haven't-
his specific use codes, and then everything.
Yeah, maybe they can even do that in the SMD that they've got. They just make some specific, they just restrict the things. They have to change the comp plan too, which is really terrible because their changes to the comp plan are just, if you ask me, they just make the comp plan lie, but nobody asks me, so
I don't know how they get away with that, Susan.
I don't know. Okay, well, Henry's here. Are we ready for the?
Yeah, I think we're ready to take up SMART.
Susan, I'm going to ask you to be gracious. And
Me?
yes, you, because you were gracious enough to write those notes down when it was the last thing on my mind for the past couple of weeks.
Well, Henry, before you get going, I just want to express my condolences on my own, and I'm sure everybody on the committee. If you didn't know, Henry lost his mother last week, and has been going through that for the last couple of weeks, and that's why he's saying it's been hell the last couple of weeks. And she was the last of that generation.
Yeah,
his
she
family,
was.
So.
She was. I mean, she at the age of she would have been 99 next week, but at the age of 98, she was one of the towns that could actually say I was born here, right, and I died here, and in 98 years, and it's there's a lot of history there, And as my mother got older, she talked more and more about it. But for the past year, she's been sick and bedridden for well over a year now, and it was inevitable. She had a heart attack in her sleep, and she never really regained consciousness. So she's hopefully with my father,
Yep.
Sorry for your loss.
Thank you very much. And Susan, thank you for your email.
Oh, you're welcome, Henry.
And with your notes in there, and I said, oh my God, I should have remembered this. But unfortunately, there was just so much going on.
Yeah. Well, when I saw the obituary in the Independent and I didn't see an email from you, I put the 2 together.
Thank you very much. Okay. So if you could talk to this, please, I would really
Okay.
appreciate it.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I'm just going to keep this very simple. Jay, were you, as my mother used to say, alarmed about this? Jay Newsom,
I'm sorry?
were you alarmed? Were you notified about this discussion?
No.
It's going to be very short if you weren't. Okay. So Henry and I are members of a committee called, perhaps unfortunately called the SMART Committee. That stands for Statistical, I'm reading this because I couldn't possibly tell you without reading. Statistical Modeling and Analytics Research Tools Committee. Who can say 3 of those words back to me? You'll be the smartest person on the, as smart as Trump if you can. Okay, but this is a relatively new committee, maybe as much as a year old now, but just sort of getting its legs. And
Remnants from the school committee, right?
yeah, it started.
In
Oh,
the
that's
school
right. It
committee,
started-
and then
yeah,
came
yeah.
to our committee, and then Henry agreed to chair it. And I don't know whether it's still a subcommittee of us or whether it's his own committee, but
No, it's its own committee.
okay.
We're our own.
Yep,
Um,
good.
And I guess you didn't get this statement about it. This wasn't part of the packet, I noticed. There is a little statement about what we're looking to do, and I'll just go over it quickly. I don't even remember. I think there's 7 of us on the committee, and we are supposed to be qualified by training and experience to conduct studies, review research, evaluate data and statistics pertaining to the economic and social well-being of the community. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bullets about things we're doing. We're trying to identify data and other forms of information that explain local, social, and economic conditions. We are identifying data gaps and suggesting strategies for gathering information necessary to improve the town's understanding of local conditions. We are going to be evaluating statistical reports about or related to South Kingstown. That's actually what we were doing in the beginning through the school committee. We were trying to figure out, that's really kind of how we got started. We are possibly going to conduct our own research projects using accepted qualitative, and this is important, qualitative and quantitative methods. And we're supposed to be occasionally, when the town council asks for some statistical analysis, we're supposed to be able to provide that. We're going to be working with the University of Rhode Island. We already are in terms of some of the membership, to identify potential cooperative research ventures. And finally, we're advocating for full and open public access to public data sources that are produced by the town. So all of this is just to say that there's going to be this sort of specialized group that will be taking a look at what data is currently collected, or what data are currently collected by the town, or used by the town, gathered from the state, whatever we have access to, and then thinking about statistically viable ways in which to apply what those data say to local problems. I had wanted, we were supposed to, the reason Henry and I are both on this committee, if that isn't clear by now, and what we decided is that everybody on the committee would go around and talk to all the other committees and just say this group exists, and to try and find out what sorts of data demands there are from different committees, and to see whether any committees do any data collecting. The reason I singled you out, Jay, is that it seemed to me in thinking about this, that the one thing that the Economic Development Committee did that was rather data driven was your effort with the state to try and figure out the names and addresses of businesses in town. And so I was hoping you would tell us a little bit about that, but that's all right. We'll come back and get you another time. It would be very interesting to know, though, from you, has anything happened with that database? You did it once, and it's not an easy thing to keep up to date, and so it was a one-shot arrangement, right?
It was, and it wasn't easy to get the state to cooperate.
I know that.
Brian,
Yeah, but
Brian-
I do remember that you did a great job in going and digging, and you found the right data to get that was the most accurate. And I do remember you did that, and that was awesome.
Something that was supposed to happen after that was, and I think that data is important. It was supposed, Bryant University was involved, and I think maybe it's migrated to the University of Rhode Island on maintaining a database of all the businesses in the state. So I think if I were going to do it again, I would go back and try to figure out exactly how that migrated, if it's still at Bryant, if it's gone to URI, and if there's been any additional work on it, or if it's just languishing.
Well, one of the things that might be useful to us is if we could get you to do a very quick data dictionary of telling each, what all the variables were that were in that database, and then telling us what they were, integer, text, whatever, and the format you put them in. It just would be, I think it would be helpful if we could see what you came up with, because it does seem like a piece of research that could be, sort of basic to what the town needs to know in terms of understanding what businesses are here and how they're working. So if you would be willing, maybe Henry or maybe I could work with you on developing that data dictionary, but just take whatever you had in that database and go through variable by variable and describe what those variables were, what the source of those, where you got them, and provide a little narrative as well, just so we would know what was done. I think that would be helpful.
I think that
Willing.
I think that his information is maybe 4 or 5 years old now, and I think that's invaluable to your committee, because if you did the same kind of deep dig right now, you could compare businesses that exist today and where they were 5 years ago, or how many new ones or how many old ones left, and all kinds of, I think because he did this, if he still has the data, your committee is gonna have great information. And then I think after COVID, there'll be another instance of how did it change again?
Well, I'm not saying that, that our committee is going to be taking this on as a project to keep it up to date or anything like that.
No.
Okay,
No.
because.
Just an analysis
Okay.
of what happened in the last 5 years
Yeah.
and
Well,
what's happened after COVID.
Well, okay, even that, Larry, I'm not sure we could do, although, but it would be really helpful. Jay worked very hard on that, and
Absolutely.
it had a very good outcome. We managed to get, I think one of the things that we should tell the committee is that we got help writing the survey from a real survey expert at URI who helped us develop, wasn't that when didn't we use
Al
that?
Delabitta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That was a different survey.
was it? It wasn't this one?
No, it was the last one we did.
No. It certainly wasn't. No, it certainly wasn't the one we did for the Dale
Commercial
Carlio.
Highway.
No, we didn't
No,
get.
it was
no.
before Commercial Highway.
Right. It was based on your
Okay. Yeah, all right.
data. It was your data,
Oh.
and there was there are all kinds of things that the smart committee would like to have. It was what you told the town council. There was the fact that the URI, we got survey help in designing the survey. It'd be interesting to know what you had, what the integer, what the variables were in your database. All that would be useful, because nobody wants to have to do that, go through thinking those things out a second time. And if there ever were to be a call to look at that again, it would be, as Larry has said, important to be able to use that as a baseline study and then to compare with wherever we are now. And the best way to do that would be to be deriving from your work before.
Yeah. In fact, when we did it and when we presented it, we said that we should do it again in 3 to 5 years.
Yes,
Yep.
I think we did. And
Not, in the first part of next year, maybe if we see our way through this situation we're in now, it might be a good time to do it.
okay, so that
But you want to do the information aspect of it, what I did, how I put it together. We can do that before next year, I hope.
You still have that computer, Jay?
Pardon?
You still have that computer and the data?
I've got a lot of stuff. I think so.
well, even if you have a printout of
Right.
the data, we can figure out what was in the.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We surveyed 1,100 businesses. We got responses back, I think, from 700.
Wow.
And you got, I think you had to cull the list down from 1,800, 2,500, something like that, down to
About
that.
1,600. A lot of those people, I think, were maybe single stay-at-home,
Right.
yeah.
self-employed.
Okay, well, so So I was going to use that as an example of the kind of thing that the SMART committee is thinking about trying to do. But then the other part of our charge to me and Henry was to ask the EDC whether it has any particular data analysis interests or needs.
I'll let the committee talk about that. Anybody have any words of wisdom?
I think what you're saying there, just an inventory of the local businesses, the nature of them, maybe how much e-commerce. I don't know if you can get into the volume they do and cash flows. I don't know how far you can get into that, but all that would be interesting.
I think you can get number of FTEs, full-time equivalents.
Right,
I think you
right.
could get that.
Yeah,
From the
And I think
state?
that's a useful tool.
yeah, that's in the unemployment database. I mean,
Right.
BLT's database.
Right. And Lenny Ladaro, who's the economist up at URI that has his own indicators and all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
He's an old friend of mine. So if your committee, I'm sure he has data that goes back 10 years on unemployment or whatever, GDP. I don't know whether he has it for the town, but if he has the state database for those years, maybe he can sort it down to the town, and he could possibly be a source of a lot of good historical data.
I think you're right, Larry, that we definitely should get him to come and talk to us. He's sort of the state economic historian.
Correct. And I've known him for 35, 40 years. Kids were in Girl Scouts together and that kind of stuff, and still lives in town, he and his wife. So
Okay, good.
I'll tell you, I can reach out, but I won't yet. I'll wait till
no.
you tell me what you want and
thank
that
you.
kind of stuff.
Okay,
He may be where the Bryant University effort as far as identifying businesses and identifying them to the towns, he may be the end result of that. Because I think at the time we were working on our survey, it was the Bryant thing was just getting started, and then I heard that it had moved to URI. So it may be the
Yeah.
he's got the
oh, yeah,
map.
that could, yeah, that's a good point.
Yep.
Well, I know I did my own little research project when I first joined the EDC. I went to the tax office and looked at all the businesses in the 51, the Plat 51 lot, something or other, they're all up and down Dale Carlia. And I took from the tax records, I took the land value and the building values for all of those plots and put it together in a spreadsheet, because I just wanted to know how that land and those buildings were valued. And the most interesting thing I found there, and that was just sitting in that office on the first floor of Town Hall and going through all that stuff. There was no way to do that. There was no way to get a dump of that data. I had to do it from the plat number. And it showed me one thing that is remained, that I remember, which is that the land, I guess because of the way taxes work, the land has increased in value and the buildings had decreased in value. The buildings can, of course, be depreciated for the tax records, which is part of that. But there were a whole lot of buildings in that Dale Carlia, which you could tell from just walking the sidewalk, that no longer had very much value. So you could have gone in and raised the whole thing, and you wouldn't have lost very much in terms of assets. But anyway, I've wanted the town to do a variant on that, which is to take the SAMP, the rate at which the ocean is rising
Mhm.
and look at all the properties that are the most at risk for that kind of sea level inundation, and see what would happen to the coffers of the bank, not the bank, sorry, I don't work for the World Bank anymore. The coffers of the town would look like if those properties started,
Being wiped out.
yeah, washing out to sea.
Right.
I thought that was already done.
Yeah, that's already been done. Rob did that last year.
Well, last year they didn't do exactly that. They did finally do a hazard, no, what was it called, Jay?
Hazard mitigation.
Hazard mitigation plan?
Hazard mitigation. They did do a hazard mitigation.
Yeah. This state,
They determined the value of the property and what the impact would be on the tax base as well.
Yeah, at 5 years out, 10 years out, et cetera.
So did the Union for Concerned Scientists. They did it too.
the state also did that several years ago, I think, with the EC4 committee.
Yeah.
And I want to say it was 5 years ago, maybe.
I don't think the EC4 has even been in business that long, but maybe.
It was 4 to 5 years ago, because it was when I was still down in Westerly. But they did it. I don't know the extent of where they started and began, or if they did the whole state or not. But I think they produced that same type of data.
Yeah.
I thought Rob reviewed with us numbers for the loss of taxes, property taxes in time. So, I mean,
I think you're right.
It's in the hazard mitigation. There is something in the hazard mitigation stuff
Okay.
about that. Okay, so does anybody have, I mean, I think what Jay Newsom, since we now have two J's, we have to be careful here. I think what Jay Newsom did those many years ago would be the main thing that we would suggest from the SMART to the SMART committee is important to us.
Yep.
Well, I will take that on and get back to you probably in the next couple of days, certainly before this time next week. I'll get back to you, Susan, and to you, Henry, and let you know exactly what I've got. I think I should have everything, but we'll see.
Okay, well that
Jay,
would be very nice.
yeah, Jay, if you're unsuccessful or you think it's only part of the information, in the town's archives, there's got to be information that we presented to the town council or the planning board or something like that. So we could, if we have a date, we could go searching in the town records as well. I'm sure we gave, we had a presentation. I remember Al Delabitta being there and talking about it. And I'm sure there are records in our minutes or presentations in EDC records.
Well,
Right. I do think it is in the town records as well. Might be easier if I've got it easily.
I also would like to have what you,
You want my rubric?
Because I know that wasn't part of the presentation. The presentation was sort of an analysis of what we'd learned.
Right. But I think, Susan, it would help your committee, yours and Henry's committee, if he still had the raw data that
That's
he
what I
pulled it
want.
down to.
No, that's what I want
And then you can sort it all different ways that we didn't do.
oh yeah, no, we probably won't do that, but if we can develop a little data dictionary from it, if we can see the scope of it,
Yeah.
all that will be very useful.
Yep. And I think a great analysis to today or a year from now or whatever, it's a great basis to have.
Yeah, certainly is. Okay, Henry, did I forget anything?
No,
Or what did I forget?
no, the one thing that came to my mind is taking a look at what Jay Newsom did, is to see hopefully if there's anything in there that we can template or replicate, in any future endeavors. But I think putting a data dictionary together is very important. You know, it would be something as simple as putting it even into some kind of spreadsheet format.
Well, and if it's gone on to Bryant University, maybe, you know, that would be good too. But all right, let's start with what Jay Newsome has in his in his file drawers.
All right,
Okay,
so we'll put SMART back on the agenda for next month's meeting. Hopefully you've met with Jay and we can report back of what you found or what you're missing. And then we can put a plan of action together at the next meeting on getting anything else that you might need or other ideas of mining that data
yeah,
different ways. And we'll talk about it as a separate line item. I'll keep the COVID just there because it's there on the agenda. New events in town, that will be on there as always. If anybody else has any other items that they would like to add on to the agenda, please email like a week or two in advance because we're really up against the open meetings law and all that kind of stuff to this time.
Well, we were going to put the tercentennial on every time, not to talk about it, but just keep it in our minds.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Let the record show that, Mr. Town Manager, when you're listening to this recording, because I'll forget it. Anything else?
Yeah, keep in mind there's an election coming, a primary election coming up in the first week of September. And everything I've done, at least talk it up as much or socialize it, is let's get out and vote.
Yep.
Either vote by mail or vote in person, but vote.
I agree with that. Our next meeting, I believe, is September 3rd. It'll probably be another Zoom meeting. That's the first Thursday in September. Does anybody have any issues with that date? No? All right. So that's what plan on doing it. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to add or talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to mention this ongoing seasonal, each year getting worse water problem we have. And it's kind of hard to try to encourage new businesses to come here when we're on these severe water restrictions. So I think long-term, we really ought to have a better plan in place to address it.
Good point.
You know,
Okay.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. So let's put
What-
that on the agenda.
What are the water restrictions?
Well, it's every other day water, but I mean, you know, it's getting to the point where as a community, I can see if there was a downed water line, you know, some kind of a bacterial problem, which we had last year. But every year you get this alternate side restrictions. They even went so far as to saying if they find anybody who's not complying, they'll shut their water off. I mean, that's draconian. We should be solving the problem of having a better, adequate supply of water.
And they've invested in two new larger storage tanks.
Okay.
This is just
All right?
Suez,
The
right?
one over near Prout and the one on South Road. Maybe they need a third storage thing or more wells or
Well,
something.
wait a minute.
But-
This is just for outdoor watering, right? It's not, you can't, it's not that you can't turn on your sink faucet.
No.
Yeah, but at some point that might happen. You know, they're at the point where I think I read they were down to 3 days supply. That's not a lot. We're not getting a lot of water, at least in the southern area here.
This
So I
is,
think you need a better, you need better infrastructure to be able to provide something as basic as water.
And Suez is extending their water lines, I believe, on Pond Street. Jay, I don't know whether you know anything about that, Jay Parker.
No,
I just know that they've got equipment down there across from Silver Spring Marina, and they're running new water line, which I would think would be for more users, which would then further exacerbate the system.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, but I suspect that it's the source of water that's the problem. You know, yes, storage tanks help, but you still have to fill the storage tanks.
Right.
And you know, if we're encouraging businesses and more housing, that's further demand.
I don't know whether any of the wells have gone dry, and that's why we don't know. It's a private
Right.
system, so.
Right.
Yeah. I think what Tom is bringing up is an important point. It has to do with infrastructure. I mean,
Right.
not only water infrastructure, but electrical. I mean, let's face it, we had a storm come through here Tuesday afternoon, if it lasted an hour or something. And I just got my power back this afternoon. If I didn't get my power back, I wouldn't have known about this meeting. But it seems like if you want the power to go down in the section of South Kingston I live in, they just go, and down it comes, you know? So when we were assured the last time we had a big power outage, that substantial changes were going to be made to that infrastructure to make it more resilient. And it certainly wasn't.
I think it's something as simple as National Grid just not having crews out there to clear some of the lines. They would rather just wait for the tree to come down and take care of the problem when that happens. You know, and we pay for it ultimately because of overtime and outages. You know, I've got a generator, but every hour I use that generator, I'm probably paying 5 times much more than I would if National Grid were not providing the power. And
They've been out regularly clearing the trees.
yeah, but there's a
regular
lot more to
basis.
do because, you know, what happens is we didn't have, I clocked 50-mile-an-hour winds at my place. Now that's a lot, but it's not 80, it's not 90. And luckily I didn't lose power this time. I had flickering, but some of the neighbors were out for a day and a half. And that's, you know, Sandy wasn't that long ago where it cleared out a lot of the dead wood anyway.
The problem is that the trees are really full of leaves right now, so the branches are very heavy.
Yep, it wasn't early
I got
season.
I got mine back today, a little afternoon, and I was out walking in the neighborhood, and the trucks that were doing the work were Davy Tree Company from Ohio.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if National Grid has really got the ability to do the work it needs to do.
I think all the power companies pull. During a
Yes.
storm, they all pull from all around the nation.
That's,
They do.
Patricia's right. They pull from everywhere.
I understand that, but I think the point is, with a storm like this, you can't really depend on that, and that's why it took so long to get our power back. This was all along the East Coast. This was all the way from, South Carolina, all the way up through Virginia, and up through Maryland, New Jersey, New York. So when you have a storm like that, which is what we're going to get, we just had one. It was like Sandy as well. And the ability to deal with that in a short-term basis is just, I'm not faulting them. I'm just saying the ability to deal with that in a short-term basis is just not.
All right, so if we add
How long does it take?
if we added a line item to the agenda for next time of infrastructure, and underneath that, water and electric, that could add to that topic, that we could cover it, and we could talk about whatever we wanted on that. So I'll do that. Thank you, Tom. Jay, you had something maybe at the same time as Tom was saying.
Yeah, I want to give my personal condolences to Henry. I
Thank you,
lost
Jay.
my mother when she was 94, and it doesn't get any easier. It really doesn't, Henry. So, my sincere condolences.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, the sad thing is, I can remember when my grandparents died, they died peacefully. But today you don't. You go into a hospital for a week on what they call comfort measures, and you sit in a room 24 hours a day watching your parent die. And I did it for my father, and I did it for my mother, my sister more than me, for my mother. But it was horrible.
Yep.
It really
I agree, Henry. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Yep.
I did that with an aunt, and she turned to me and she'd look at me and she'd say, do something about this.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
my mother didn't do that. You know, fortunately, she lost consciousness when she had the
Yeah.
heart attack. Oh, well.
All right.
Okay, guys.
A-
Thank you.
Anything else? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
move
adjourn.
to adjourn.
I'll say Susan made the motion, Henry seconded it. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Stay safe, and I'll see you on September 3rd.
Okay.
Aye.
See you then, if not before.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Jay
everyone.
Parker, thank you very much for hosting.
You're very welcome. It was interesting.
Say hi
Thank
to
you.
your wife and your kids for me. Thank
might
them
just-
for me.
I
It's
might just
too late.
stay in hiding for a little while and let the meeting go longer.
It's too dark for them to be out cycling now.
Yeah, no, they came home. I think they're home.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
All right. Good night,
Bedtime
everybody.
stories. Good night.
Aye.
Hey, guys.